Hey Faith Family, welcome to the Beyond Sunday podcast at Calvary Bible, where we go beyond the Sunday sermon to explore some rabbit holes and to bring some biblical truths to the surface. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Calvary Bible Church, welcome to another episode of Beyond Sunday. Pastor Randall, welcome back.
Thank you.
Another episode, another week.
Mm-hmm. They come quickly.
It did. It does. Hey, and guess what? It was Groundhog Day yesterday.
Yeah, did you hear how it like, what's the deal? I forget. It helps predict the future.
Yeah.
It's like prophetic.
6 more weeks of winter.
Well, that's not bad.
I don't know if that's on the high side or low side, though.
6 weeks?
Landon was in Punxsutawney, though.
I know. That's so cool.
What a lunatic.
I know. He's having fun, though, with that kind of stuff.
He is soaking up. He's been to more Pennsylvania things in his 6 months than I have in my 40 years.
He said it was -1.
Oh, gosh.
In the morning. He
More
said
power
it was
to
early
him.
in the morning. I think it was like mid-morning, like 3-ish or something. Or
Yeah, that's when he got there, 3 a.m.
So it was -1, wherever they were.
Terrible. Do you know what a groundhog's favorite drink is?
I have no idea.
Whole milk.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's also my favorite drink. Whole chocolate milk would probably be better.
Yeah.
But regular whole milk. It's 97% fat-free.
Mm.
Just so you all know. 97%.
My chocolate milk days were over years ago when I was diagnosed with the D word.
You never drink it?
No. Yeah, the D word.
Yeah.
I do not. No. I hardly ever drink any milk anymore. And I certainly don't drink chocolate milk anymore. It's just so many carbs.
Sometimes I could just, that could be my dessert. A glass of chocolate milk.
I know.
Craters.
And it used to be like, for these young athletes at the high school, like Donegal, for instance, would push that, hey, right after practice or after a game, drink chocolate milk, which is like, yeah.
Gotta love that.
You do have to love it for sure.
Okay. Well.
Gotta love Galatians.
You do. So let's get into it. Talked a lot about, because it's an important verse 16, which I will repeat for everyone. But I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. So you were in church on Sunday.
I was.
Listening
most
intently.
of the day.
Yeah, seriously. It was a long day.
Yeah.
Walk by the Spirit. What's your take on that? It's one of those things that we see these kind of phrases, by the Spirit, in the Spirit, through the Spirit. We can't hold the Spirit in our hands and feel it, touch it, react to it in a physical way, but there's something about the Christian life that is a reaction to, a response to the Holy Spirit. And so I didn't know what your take on walking by the Spirit. What does that mean? What does it look like? Because as I was reading the text, I thought, that's my first question. What is that? What does it mean? What's it look like?
So, first of all, I thought you did a great job. So there's really no need to try to, add to what you were saying about what it meant. But I will say to you and to you, as I've said to myself for a long time, don't you think it's fascinating that God didn't give you more instruction? Because you mentioned it on Sunday, which I was tracking with you too. I think, how many times have we both said, I just wish there was an extra, a little something, because you'll notice, especially with Beyond Sunday, you'll notice that what we're trying to achieve is, how do we put these scriptures into practice so that we're living out our faith, representing Christ well, enjoying life plus, on mission, all of that. But we're always at a loss with respect to how practical to get. Because it's fascinating to me that in this case, God does not give further, he doesn't give further how to. Notice what he does give. So this is, I think, I'm just talking to you just because, what's my take on walk by the Spirit? My first take is, you don't have the information you really want. It seems like God has cheated us a bit with respect to his record. But I want you to think about why that is just for a little bit. I don't need to do a lot with this, but only to say, in God's wisdom, he decided that the more important thing would be the rationale and the explanation for why it's necessary, not how to do it. So I myself take a very, I am very cautious about moving too much beyond the Bible, because then I lose the authority of this is what God is saying, and I go down the path of, I think, notice the operative term, I think this is a proper way to put this into practice. Now, what I liked about what you said the other day was you said, God doesn't, he just didn't give us enough. So in order to move forward, do you remember what your answer was?
No.
Do you remember?
No. What?
It was really good.
What great thing did I say?
It was a very great thing. You said we have to look at other places in Scripture to flesh this out, which I thought was a really good comment. So it was helpful.
Right. So one of the examples was, if your friends are dragging you down, cut them out of your life. And we could go to the Proverbs as wisdom living and say, look at a couple different Proverbs that talk about the detriment of foolish friends.
I was whispering that to myself, looking at you on Sunday, going, yeah, exactly right. You've got places where you can go and you can start to piece together what does walking by the Spirit look like. So that was good. The only thing I would say is just remember a couple of things. It looks like when you get the by the Spirit thing, that it's, you might just be thinking guidance, but you probably want to think more power than guidance at first. I think I'm thinking about a priority. What's the priority, the chronological sequence in practice? And I think the key is, and we'll go back to just some of our earlier discussions about the mindset word out of Romans. What you're thinking about is you're thinking about the Spirit's ability to help you in a particular moment. So I think power is the priority over guidance, I think, at this point. That's just a thought. But I like what you did, though. I think it was really super clear.
Yeah. And to get back to the mindset too from Romans, I don't know if we talked about this on a previous episode, but whether it's we're taking our thoughts captive to the obedience of Christ, or the Philippians 4, whatever is true, and on that list goes.
Yeah, the renewing of your mind.
Think on such things. Yeah, Romans 12, renewing your mind. And there's times, I think, where the scriptures inform and give enough instruction for us for wise living to really latch on and say, no, this is a wise direction. But then there's other times where maybe it's a specific thing and the scriptures are just not going to speak to it, and it may even seem unwise from a worldly perspective. Like, no, you don't have a plan for the next month, and that's not wise. And there may be something behind that. In some of my study, I was looking at examples, and the Apostle Paul was constrained by the Spirit to go to Jerusalem later on in Acts 19 or 20. But then there was other disciples at the same time that told him in the Spirit not to go to Jerusalem, but he went because he felt like that, like the Spirit was forcing him there. He had to go. There was no other option. And from a worldly perspective, you would say, no, it doesn't make sense. Why would you, go into the belly of the beast there where they're after you? And he went because the Spirit was leading him there. Christ into the wilderness, all those gospel accounts that talk about it, he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. There's some times where the scriptures, doing the scriptures and being, locked in, where we've just got spiritual things on our mind often. They inform direction. There's counsel in the scriptures and in our brothers and sisters. And then there's other times where that's not the case. And I think that's the thing that catches people a lot, where we really want to have that Paul-like experience where we say, I know that this is the decision for me. I've got a couple of options, and this is the one. So,
and in the text too, you have in 16 walk by the Spirit, but then you have in 18 led by the Spirit. So it's not that there's no guidance aspect to it. It's just that what the Spirit is doing is driving the person's life And the bulk of the explanation has to do with what kind of life you're going to end up living. Depends on which is, driving the process, spirit or flesh. So, but it's a great concept. One of my favorite illustrations of that is if you're trying to fly an airplane and you're trusting the instruments. You're flying, trusting the instrument, not your own instincts. And there's so many stories about this in the aviation world. But so that's kind of one of those that's has helped me through the years. But again, because of the last few weeks and listening to you on Sunday too, I keep thinking about, this whole thing is geared toward making sure that the Spirit overpowers the flesh, so that we live a Christ-honoring life, God-honoring life. That's the bulk of all of this, putting those works of the flesh to death so that the fruit of the Spirit can live and flourish.
Yeah. So that wraps up our series on the war, the war within us. Was that the war that rages within all of us?
In all of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Spent, I forget how many weeks total, but it was,
I think this was the
5 weeks.
Yeah. 3 in Romans, 1 in Galatians, but there was one at the very beginning.
Yeah, the one at the beginning was Romans 7, but the reading started in Deuteronomy.
Oh, that's right. It was Romans 7, Romans 6, and then 2 in Romans 8.
Correct.
1 through 7, I think, and then 8 through 14.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's next? Where are we headed on Sunday?
Matthew.
Back to Matthew.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too.
We're in a good spot too, where we can go back to a miracle story, which really gets us to the heart of the whole. You remember the title slide for Matthew was that hand reaching out to touch part of Jesus' outer clothing for an act of healing. And so the woman reaches out, touches Jesus, and we selected that. Michelle and I selected that a long time ago because I thought, yeah, God with us. Look at the power that this man has, and the miracles are so important to what's happening. So we'll do that on Sunday, Lord willing. Jump into this will be the end of chapter 20.
Good. Okay, we'll get ready for that. And the last question for you is, you referenced it, Sunday. It was a long day. For anyone who wasn't at the meeting, there's a couple of things for you real quick. One, at the Welcome Center, there are some notes that kind of are a second look at the letter you would have received at the end of last week. Vision 78:6 is the phrase that we have referred to around the elder table for over a year now, to describe kind of a look into the future with 3 components: staffing, space, and soul care. And so what's the future of Calvary Bible Church? There's some, big questions that need to be answered. And we had a great opportunity on Sunday. I thought the meetings were really, positive. They often are, and we're so glad for that. But for you, anything that you want to say to folks who weren't there, or maybe didn't get to one of the Q&As?
Well, one of the things that we, that I discovered, I couldn't remember the timing of when the communications went out, but right before the meeting starts, there are a couple of documents, summary documents, one of which was the frequently asked questions. So, but folks weren't able to get that and process it before the meeting. So for regardless of whether you attended all, some, none, that sheet has a lot of information on it, because a lot of the questions that we've fielded, they are answered on that. So if I would say, read down through those frequently asked questions, because I think they're super helpful. So that's one thing. And boy, again, the guys that I've talked to since, it is really, really rewarding. I am just so grateful for, all the years that we've been doing this. These annual congregational meetings are so uplifting. The demeanor, the character, the atmosphere is just a testimony to the kinds of people that God has brought here, developed here. And I'm really glad to have a small part to play in it, because, the horror stories, they are just, it's awful to hear, but it all, I mean, I every year end that meeting with just great gratitude. And that's, again, if you've experienced it elsewhere, you know how tense these meetings can be. And so I'm just really thankful to the Lord for just the demeanor of it all. And, pretty encouraging.
Yeah.
I hope you felt that way. I mean, I know you did.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't like sitting up on stage on a pedestal or a stool, but
hard.
Yeah,
That's hard.
there's no for me like angst about that other than just being up in front again.
I know.
But I thought a couple of things that maybe I would summarize if you weren't able to be there for either one of the Q&As. So like there's a couple of questions about the Constitution. What's that mean? And maybe a quick summary of that would be there are some changes coming to the Constitution, and we're a constitutionally governed church, which is important for us. We always want the Constitution to reflect the Scriptures, though, and so we want them to reflect the Scriptures and also reflect our practice. So there will be, looking forward into later in the year, some constitutional changes, but those are congregational votes, and those will have to do with things like staffing model, which was a major part of the conversation on Sunday,
right?
Membership and elder qualifications and roles and stuff like that. So that would be one summary. And then I think Matt did a really good job. He gave a really key answer because there's some questions about, well, again, dear Bill Patton, his absence and kind of the hole that's left by, his homegoing. And this worship pastor search that has been ongoing for 6+ months now. What's the deal there? And his answer, which I think I'd like to reiterate, was just that Sunday was kind of, we needed to get over that hurdle first, and then some of these other questions can be given a little bit more attention and can start to be communicated to. So some of that information, Lord willing, is coming soon. But this was kind of let's take this step first and not get ahead of ourselves here. So, that would be that. And grab that frequently asked question sheet, because it covered a lot. It talked about some of the space issues there and some of the work that's been done. I forget, it might have been Seth or Judd that referenced that work too, just with parking and and you referenced the architect that we had in proposal and just not astronomical financial numbers, but too large for us right now. I would encourage you to pick that up. They're at the Welcome Center, and I think they're on Realm too. So, final word for you?
No,
nothing.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, listen, Calvary Bible Church, we love you. Thanks for tuning in. And if you have questions regarding the sermon back in Matthew on Sunday, email them into podcast@cbcmj.com. We love engaging with those, and we're all better for it. So keep sending them in. Okay. See you on Sunday. Thanks again for joining us on today's episode. And remember, our Sunday sermons are meant to lead us to a life of worship beyond Sunday.